As you just saw, Nintendo Switch 2 isn't simply an improved Nintendo Switch.
The new Switch 2 has an identity crisis. It just has no idea what it wants to be. These new features don't make any sense, and they lead to this device that kind of fails being a handheld or a console. Aside from a list of games being released, really the only new thing we learned about was this game chat feature for the Switch 2, and game chat is kind of this freaky hybrid between Discord and Zoom. You can talk to your friends, share your screen at like 12 frames a second, and share your face as well with the new Switch 2 web camera, sold separately, of course. Having a way to talk with your friends on your device is a really solid idea. In fact, it's so solid that Xbox did it almost 2 decades ago. The difference is, in 2008, that was a legitimately useful feature.
So yeah, you're gay.
The Xbox was your way to talk with your friends and build a community. I went with Xbox personally just because that's what my friends were using, so that's what I'm gonna get. The thing now, though, is there's so many different ways to talk with your friends online that aren't this intrusive. The bottom of the screen looks like a meeting with your coworkers. The audio might be good, but if you're playing docked, it has to pick you up across a room, so I'm a bit skeptical on that. And the camera seems like it might be a cool feature, but it just doesn't make sense. This is what I mean by identity crisis. When I'm playing docked, I'm not using Joy-Cons, because why would I do that? But the only way to interact with the chat feature is to push the new C button on the Joy-Cons or on the new Pro controller that costs about $8,000. So you're already limited on what controllers you can use, and then you have to talk over your entire room to your Switch to get your voice. It's just not a smooth experience. And when you're handheld, yeah, the mic is right there. That's great, but what are you gonna do? Like set up your webcam so that you can lay on the couch and play? You're not gonna do that. You kind of can't use the webcam, which means this overlay now is massive. The Switch screen is better, but it's not really bigger in the Switch 2. So having so much space dedicated to a video chat feature that you can't use doesn't make sense.
Fuck you, boy! Shut your bitch, you
No matter which way you play Switch, the game chat feature just feels not fully usable. Another big feature coming to the Switch 2 is mouse mode. You activate it by saying, I'm going mouse mode, and then you just mouse all over the place.
Take a ride on the mouse-controlled Carnival Coaster. Use mouse controls to shoot down enemies while you feel the bumps and rumbles of the coaster.
I've been roaming around, always looking down at all I see.
You can literally use the Joy-Con like as a computer mouse on a table to control some games. And I don't immediately hate that. It's kind of a novel and kind of a cool idea. But Nintendo, how do I use this? If I'm playing docked, I'm not using Joy-Cons, so how do I use this? If I'm playing handheld, the Joy-Cons are attached to my device. I might not even have a table around. How do I use this? If I'm being cynical, it feels like Nintendo might be trying to cash out here. The Joy-Cons aren't really used a whole lot right now, so they don't get worn down very easily, which is a good thing because replacing them is like $80. But these new ones are loaded with features that you're missing out on if you don't use them. When you're playing docked, you have to use these Joy-Cons. So these incredibly expensive, probably not good controllers, if they're anything like the first Joy-Cons, are a necessity to how this thing operates.
The law firm of Chimical, Schwartz, Kreiner, and Donaldson Smith has filed a class action lawsuit against Nintendo.
The firm asserts that the Joy-Con controllers are defective as a result of drifting.
The Joy-Con 2s have so many sensors and features baked into them that Nintendo's releasing an entire game sold separately just to figure out what the hell they do.
Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour will launch as a paid digital game.
Overall, things just feel gimmicky. It doesn't feel like these features are an organic addition to gameplay. And gimmicks aren't always bad. Obviously, the Switch relied on a gimmick. Take your Switch with you, split the controllers, play with your buddies anywhere. The thing with that one is, it's incredibly simple to understand, it's very straightforward, and it's very useful. These new gimmicks just don't work. Rather than a much more portable form factor or better hardware and software, you can play Mario Party with a webcam, assuming you want to set it up and assuming you want to play with the Joy-Cons. And that's another thing. Mario Party and Mario Kart, all these games, they're meant to be played with friends. They're inherently social games. The point is to be together. Does playing online with someone versus playing online with someone, but now you have like a 240p webcam image of them over their character, really bring that social feeling. It doesn't. This new generation Switch 2 just doesn't bring anything substantial to the table. These new additions don't really work. No matter which way you play the Switch, you're sacrificing somewhere. And I don't want to rain on your parade if you're excited for these things. I can definitely see some value in the mouse mode, but you have to admit this doesn't feel like a brand new console generation. This doesn't feel like something that's really going to positively impact your experience with the device. When I see these new gimmicks, I don't feel excited. I feel confused. And speaking of confused, the Wii U gamepad was a really cool concept that just didn't play out because they made the thing before they really thought through the uses of it. Having this big bulky gamepad is cool, but if I'm just using it for a map in my game, there's no point. New ways to play are good, but they're ultimately just a novelty. Rather than pivoting in a really hard direction, we're making a handheld, we're making a console. Nintendo kind of shot down the line and just threw everything that they could think of at this console, and now it's just a mess of cool ideas that I don't see any actual function for. They said in the Direct that you shouldn't think about the Switch 2 as just an upgraded Switch.
Nintendo Switch 2 isn't simply an improved Nintendo Switch.
But at the end of the day, it is. You want to play Fortnite with your buddies? That's great. The Switch 2 has better graphics and better speed. There's also a game chat option only if everyone that you're playing with is on a Switch 2. If they're not, you just have to use Discord like everybody else always does. You want to play the new Metroid game? Lucky for you, it's coming to the original Switch as well as the Switch 2. The Switch 2 has upgraded graphics, and you can use the mouse to point the gun. It's kind of like PC gaming, except it's not. It's been 8 years since the original Switch came out. It's very underpowered. Honestly, when it came out, it was underpowered. This is Nintendo's thing, right? They're always behind the technological curve in favor of novelty and brand design. This new Switch is reportedly 3 times faster than the original Switch, so there is an upgrade there, but they're still behind. What they have to offer, though, is silly stuff.
By combining the mouse controls and gyroscopes, things like this are possible.
Whether you're playing handheld or docked, you're always making a sacrifice somewhere. These features don't feel like anything more than an inconvenience. The Switch 2 just doesn't seem like it knows what it wants to be. If you want to be a new generation console that's not like the Switch, then do that. But what we got is basically just an upgraded Switch with some new little gimmicks in here that don't add anything reasonable. This thing doesn't make sense. Is it gonna be as bad as the Wii U? I really hope not, but something needs to change.